We're an efficient group and we usually finish way ahead of time. So I want to call the September 22nd, 2021 Tourism Development Authority Board meeting to order. And Emily, if I could check on attendance and a quorum. Yeah. With the attendance, I want to start with an introduction, and I would allow Councilmember McIntosh to do this, but he isn't able to join us. Dana Suggs, the owner of Body and Soul here in downtown Winston-Salem, is a latest member and appointee of an interested participant from the City Council. We welcome you to our merry group of tourism folks.
Thank you. I thank you all for having me, and I really look forward to serving with you all. And adding some good input, hopefully. That's the goal, right? I brought you all a little gift just to say thank you once again. It's a very popular product in our store, which is a shea butter soap. It's all natural as well as organic. So if you have some skin concerns or issues, this should actually be A-OK for you. And you can use it head to toe. So hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We didn't invite you on the board to bring us gifts, but you're welcome to do that every week or every month.
Just raise the bar.
I guess the other introduction, but I don't see Paul Fulton. But I think as everybody knows, as we talked last time, Paul Fulton will be retiring from the Forsyth County. He has been a steadfast holder of the steering wheel of our financial success. And I underline the word success that's happened over at least my years of involvement, and his counsel and his advice. So I don't know if Paul is with us. I see Terry Goodman, and I don't know if Paul is with you.
Issues.
Can't hear you though.
I don't hear.
He's muted.
She's not muted, but. I can see your lips moving, Terry, but I cannot hear you. The wonderful virtual world we live in. All right, well, we'll see if Terry can solve that. But obviously Paul is not with us. Rich and I talked the other day, we wanted to make sure we figure out a way to wish Paul success and express our gratitude for his taking on the leadership role he has with us. It's a little bit of a side gig for him in the heavy lift, especially of late that he's had to do for our county. But please take an opportunity to connect with Paul and thank him for his diligence and hard work.
And John, just so the board knows, both I and particularly Jennifer, we do know Terry. We have worked with her and have been in meetings with her. So the transition should be normal, uninterrupted, very easy. So we're looking forward to working with Terry.
Okay.
Minutes.
Thank you. We need to review and approve the meeting minutes from the Forsyth County Tourism Development Authority August meeting. Are there any edits or is there a motion to approve and accept?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. There's a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposition? The meeting minutes are accepted. I don't really have anything from a chair's perspective. I guess we want to talk about the nominating committee now.
You can just I can give a date so we can.
As my term expires in October, we will need a nominating committee meeting tentatively scheduled, I believe, Emily, for October 7th. Once we can confirm everybody's calendars to nominate a chair and a vice chair to be brought in front of the October board for approval and transition. So that will be happening here shortly. And then I don't have to worry about Robert's Rules of Order and all those other good things that I typically mess up that Randy keeps me in line with. And the only thing that I need from the chair is there's an action item. Rich, if you want to tell us what that is, and we can get a motion for that and move the formal business away.
Yeah, we, for the last couple of years, predominantly because of COVID, we really haven't had to print any of our marketing materials. We haven't had customers to give them out to, unfortunately. But this fiscal year, we have our two major pieces, both the visitor's guide and the wine and dine guide will need to be reprinted, updated, and they've been and be reprinted. The wine and dine guide is ready to go to press. It's been updated. It's ready to go to press. So we're going to need both items, but the item that we're going to approve today is, in fact, it is budgeted, and we have accounted for it in our printing line in the budget. We need the board to give authorization to the chair to sign the contract to not to exceed $39,000 for the printing of the Visit Winston-Salem Wine and Dine Guide.
So I need a motion. Do I need a second? A second. All in favor of authorizing the chair to sign and execute an agreement with SCW Clark, Allegra Printing for the Wine and Dine Guide?
Question. Remind me, is that something we sell advertising in, and this is a net amount over and above that, or I'm trying to picture what it.
Don't believe this.
We do not, this piece, we do not sell advertising in, Lou. The visitor's guide is the piece we do sell advertising in.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, so moved. Jennifer, I guess I get to see you. All right. Mr. President, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to remind everyone, because in terms of the nominating committee, CJ Johnson, Jeff McIntosh, John Wise, Gloria Wisenhunt are all members of that committee. We are planning to do the meeting, as John indicated, on Thursday, October 7th. Gloria, is that a problem?
It is for me.
It is, okay. No.
I'll be in Salt Lake City.
Okay, so you're out of town. I was going to try to move it to Wednesday. That's not going to help you at all, would it? Or see,
That might just be,
maybe just a call in, maybe
just
just,
might be an easy virtual meeting.
yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I would rather if we could tweak this calendar, it doesn't have to be as an opportunity to get as many members in the meeting as possible. So let's see if we can figure that out.
Tweak the meeting is what you
Yeah, change the date and time, see if we can get, it's going to be probably a 30-minute meeting.
Yeah.
It's based on the ones I've been in the past. And if we do it virtually.
That's okay too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we will do that. Okay, moving right along then with my report. Let's just start with some numbers. Star report. Does anyone mind if I take my mask off?
I don't mind.
What?
I don't mind.
Okay.
I can't hear you so much. You have it on.
I know.
How long have you been back from Greece?
2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm good. Okay, star report for August. It's not going to be any surprises here. Obviously, our numbers are up compared to last year, where we were still in the middle of the pandemic. You're going to see every month numbers are going to be increasing, both from occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. Numbers in this range too, in the 50, 30 to 20, 30% range increases, because if you remember, just a year ago, we were looking at those same numbers, but only they were in the negative. So we're definitely going in the right direction. I do want to just take one moment, because we did talk about the average rates and hotel rates at the last meeting. As you can see here, we've seen an increase in our average daily rate from a year ago of about 22%, up to $94.77 from $77 last year. Just again, as we talked about last year, this is an average of all the hotels in Forsyth County. If you look at predominantly the luxury hotels, the upscale chains, those that have meeting space, actually ADR for the month of August was $133 compared to $133 last year. Now, we haven't grown average rate for the larger convention hotels, but we haven't lost anything either. We're at $133 on average. So I think rate is, relatively speaking, in a pretty decent place considering what we've been through as it relates to the pandemic for the convention and meeting hotels. So it can always, we focus is to grow that from here, but at least I don't think we've lost a lot of ground from a rate perspective. I know that was a concern. Okay, with that said, just obviously we only have 1 month of tax returns ahead of where we were last year. I will tell you July, and based on our early projections for August, both months will be ahead of what our forecast is for the budget. So we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Rich, on the previous slide, would it be possible the rest of the year to have a 2021 to 2019 comparison as well?
I can do that.
Just knowing that everything isn't very apples to apples with 2020.
That's a good point. We can do that. Actually, and just for clarification too, yeah, the numbers I gave you for our luxury convention hotels, average rate in August was $133. It was $133 in 19. Obviously, last year was much lower, but to do a comparison to 19 would be a good thing, and we can do that going forward.
Thank you.
This is, yeah, obviously, 20 and 21 are going to be two anomalies. They're going to stand out, for years to come.
Yeah, just to clarify too, in a little, we can go into more graphics on this in next month's meeting, but we're down about 11.5% compared to 2019 year to date in terms of demand, right? Because occupancy is not necessarily a good number to look at because we have an increase in inventory over the last 2 years from a hotel perspective as well. So, and August was very strong, August of 2021 compared to 2019. So I think that was certainly a positive step for us. We were only off by about just under 5,000 hotel rooms in terms of occupancy in August of 21 compared to 19. And keep in mind, we had National Black Theater Festival in August of 19 as well, which is a large room night generator. Right. So Dana and I were talking prior to this. I mean, there's certainly some hotels that saw strong numbers in August, which is all positive.
I mean, we're even looking at 2018 because of, last year being, just because we wanted to see if what we were doing was really moving up, which we might not be able to see obviously in 2020, but even going back to 2018, 2019 to see if we were establishing any type of momentum of what we were building before 2020. So it might be a lot, but I would even look at back one more year to 2018. But I
do that. But to Christian's point, we're pacing 11% behind 19, okay, from a revenue perspective.
That's a calendar year to date.
Calendar year to date. And remember, in COVID year, last year, we were about 50% behind 19. So we're going in the right direction for sure. Just we like to all get there quicker.
Right.
Well, I think to follow up on CJ's request, whatever way you guys can come up with kind of a good synopsis that shows, are we really progressing coming out? As opposed to the fictitious compared to last year, what's the right comparison to judge our financial and tourism health relative to some point in history? Yep. Is that 19? I yield to you guys to figure out the best way, but to sit there and say, oh, hey, we're 82% better than where we were last year. That's a hard thing to kind of get a handle on. So if you guys can come up with a way to tell that story, that would be great.
I'll go back and double check the numbers, but I think from post downturn in the economy, so from around 2014, 15, 16, 17, we were increasing revenue every year between 4 and 7%. Jennifer, she'll keep me on, right? Yeah. Between 4 and 7% every year, we were seeing growth. So we can look at really, you get a good sense of where we were 18, 19. We can really start seeing how we're doing in terms of growth. Once you wash away all the anomaly, if you will, from the COVID year.
If we're going to get fancy with some of those things, I really like the point Commissioner Wisenhunt made last meeting of comparing us to some other baseline, like another community of similar size, and see if their ups and downs are tracking with ours. I don't know if the statewide numbers would work because it takes, well, statewide might be an interesting line on there too, but whatever the most comparable community in North Carolina is, I'd be interested in seeing those percentages compared to ours. 2018, I think it's a great idea through that. You were really talking about their budgets and their balances, I think, but it all ties together.
Well, we can do that. From the STAR report, we do get a comp set. Obviously, Raleigh, and I would say Charlotte's obviously not a comparable, but if you start looking at Greensboro, Durham, even some places like Columbia, South Carolina, we get Norfolk, where you gather markets that have 5, 6, 7, 8,000 rooms. We could probably put a performer together to show you what their numbers will or how they're tracking.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I add one more thing? I don't know if your STAR report looks like mine. It does have a comp set feature, but there's also one page that has a bar, like a line graph year over year. So I think if, instead of trying to create something, if we could just see that slide, I think that would help us see where we're tracking to several previous years. I like your idea, Dana. Not because you're Dana, but not because her numbers are oriented. But I think
Not
that,
because she's new?
no, it's a gift.
There you go.
We can certainly do that. We've shared those graphics before, and we can continue to do that. I mean, I think with some of these numbers, obviously we can go to month. You run a lot of variables in there. So we can certainly, we've looked at it from a calendar year perspective, fiscal year perspective. We've also now kind of transitioned to do it more on a quarterly basis. Obviously last year we were doing it on a weekly and monthly basis, but we can certainly get you some more information to kind of give you a good baseline of where we're going. The challenge with some of the competitive sets when you start looking at these destinations is, well, first and foremost, Winston-Salem was one of a kind. So it's kind of hard to compare them to some of these other destinations. And then secondly, there's so many variables when you start talking about rooms coming into the market, demand generators leaving and adding, that makes it really hard to be able to compare with some of these destinations. So we can certainly look at some other cities within the Southeast that size-wise may match up with Winston-Salem.
Are we bouncing back better? Are we bouncing back the same? Are we bouncing back lower than
Some other, and that might be a percentage number or something.
Well, actually, Chris and I were talking about that. Not only two in the weeds, but we're there. We're going to talk about just the month of August, looking at our comp set and how we, granted, we're not comparing apples to apples because Charlotte's a much larger market, but our occupancy numbers were stronger in Charlotte in August. And granted, they have a lot more rooms, but some of it is they're very dependent on corporate transient business. Their market makeup is a lot of corporate transient business, where ours is not quite that. And the cities that depend more heavily on corporate transit are going to, in fact, they're going to recover slower, or they're going to have to find ways to fill those rooms because corporate transit is. Remember, leisure came back, then group, the conventions and sports. Corporate transit's not back yet, so. So little things like that. There are little nuances, but I think we can identify the right cities predominantly based on how many rooms they have, and put together an analysis for the board to review. Okay, well, after 1 month, so far we're in good shape. We got 11 to go. Just a quick update. My plan today was to, after we finish this meeting, to ask Mr. Rao, who's sitting over here, and welcome Ben, to give us a tour of the space downstairs. But that's not possible because we're still pretty much we got a lot of crew down there, and we're doing some. Still going through the renovation. It's not complete yet. The plan is to be in. I did take some pictures from Friday, so there's a lot of activity going on down there. Some of the meeting rooms are done. A lot of the carpet has arrived. I was very happy to see the carpet come in those boxes. I don't know if you can see it, but it says made in the USA. We got USA carpet going in downstairs. So, but it would appear, and we'll defer to Ben and Grant that are both here, but I think by the end of this month, we should be in a position to to be done and eventually walk through the space.
So as a week from today, we will actually start to host our first guests over there.
Okay.
Believe it or not, we have campus activities that will be here. We're going to open up a couple of the Ardmore rooms, and we're going to open the games ballroom. The actual gallery ballroom will be used on Saturday for the Wake Forest football team to do their little practice before they go to the stadium. So they'll be the first group into the gallery itself, but the gallery foyer will not be completed by next week. So we're still going on. The art is planned to go up on the week of October the 4th. So we will have that going in. There's some signage that's going to be changing on the tunnel and things like that. We need to get hand sanitizers up and things like that throughout the space. But the carpet is going down today in the pre-function space of the games, and it's down in the Ardmore hallway. So I feel good for next week. The games ballroom is by far leaps and bounds better than it was before. I mean, it's probably 300 times better. The lighting is unbelievable in there, and I just can't wait to see the carpet down and what it's going to do for help us sell that space. But all of it's going to be great space to sell. We do have the internet is supposedly going to be in there by next week. Knock on wood. City IT is working very hard to get that in. They promised me it'll be there, so we'll have that. We still have some locks that are and door hardware that will not be there for about 3 or 4 more weeks, but it's all in the works. As COVID goes, it hits all industries, and it takes a little longer to get some equipment there. So we have some temporary things going up just to get through the groups. But once we get through campus activities, we really do have a lull for a couple of weeks before we do the art educators. I believe is the next group that's in there after that. So it's looking good, and I think it'll be something all of you will be proud of.
Thank you, Grant. And this next slide, the Public Arts Commission did select some art. This isn't all of it. I think we have 11 to 12 pieces going in downstairs in that space. But this is just some examples of the different pieces that'll be on the walls in the new gallery ballroom area. And the photo on the bottom is in fact the tunnel. And we have engaged a local artist who does murals. Geronimus, who's done murals all over town. And so we're going to be making some obviously noticeable differences to the tunnel as well. So I think it's something that we'd be really proud of, and really connects that space from an art perspective to the space over here, which is really what the goal was, make it all Benton Convention Center.
These are all Winston-Salem based artists.
And they're all Winston-Salem based artists. Yes. Okay, next, just a little bit, I have a couple slides that we've been working with the state. As you know, we've been working with, since COVID started, the state had engaged Destination Analysis to a national firm to do research really on a weekly basis to test how the consumer is feeling in terms of travel as it relates to the pandemic. They're still engaged, the state's still using them. And this is a slide that just kind of gives you an overview of how people felt a year ago. I think roughly this summer, a year ago, compared to on the right, how people are feeling now. This is a national survey that was done. Even with, if you will, the variant, you are definitely seeing more excitement in the traveling public now, the consumer now. A year ago, everyone was still felt very much, you had to be cautious, they were scared, things were unsafe. You're starting to see words like good, excited, there's still caution out there. But I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. And with the most recent numbers that, even in today's paper, it's starting to show, if you will, the variant is starting to plateau, if you will. So I think that's going to be positive as we move forward, as we get into the rest of the fall season. Also, the next slide will show you just overall what room demand looks like. This is across the state. All the regions, including the Piedmont. Piedmont is the green, which is actually the one at the top, which is our region. But all the regions in North Carolina, you're seeing at least tracking in the right direction. And the end of that line is, I know you can't see it, it is June of this past year, so of this year. But we're starting to see things going in a positive direction. Demand is up 33% from January through June this year compared to one year ago. So that's obviously, and room revenue in the same time is up 40%. So some positive signs as we move forward. I will let you know before I turn it over to Christian to speak to some of the things that are going on the convention side. We have lost some conventions. There have been a number of groups that have pulled. The few that have pulled are probably teacher-related state groups that were coming into the building in October, November. We also have teacher education-related groups that have not canceled, that are, Grant just mentioned, the art educators are coming. They haven't canceled, but we have lost a couple of groups. We're working with them to ensure that they rebook next year or a future year. But we have in fact lost some groups for the fall. But not to the extent that that they would have any impact on our budgeting or our forecasting at all. It was smaller groups.
It's 8 groups so far. It's 8. Total.
You have 8?
8 groups.
Yeah, so destination-wide, we're looking at 10 right now, and that's 8 here tied to the convention center, and then 2 smaller ones.
Okay.
That are meetings that we're planning to meet just in the hotel. Predominantly a couple in September, a couple in October, a couple in November. Some of the ones in November are looking at potentially moving into first quarter of 22. And we did have one group cancel first quarter of 22. But as Grant just alluded to and mentioned, we have a lot of group business coming on the books later on this fall, and certainly we'll have a stronger fall than what we had last year. So we have education groups that are planning on moving forward, art education, music education, which is traditionally one of our largest annual groups. Obviously, it won't be the same numbers that they've had in years past, but they are planning on moving forward with their convention in November. And so, we continue to talk with each client as we have throughout the pandemic to see what's best for their plans and in their associations. And we'll work through them on a case-by-case basis to come up with a resolution.
And just remember too, October we'll have the furniture market in again, and both schools, both Wake Forest University, obviously, and Winston-Salem State University, both have their homecoming, parents' weekend. Football team's looking pretty good with Wake, so I think that will continue to. So we have other things that are going on this fall that were not happening at any level last fall. And some of that obviously are both from because of the universities are both open, if you will, open and back in classes, back playing ball too. So, and I think you'll see, as you did in the spring, we'll see some pretty good numbers coming out of the furniture market as well. So,
so with that said, a couple sales updates. We are still talking to clients about pieces of business that haven't been impacted by COVID. So we're having conversations with clients that are actually planning new pieces of business for 22, 23, 24, and 25. We're obviously still dealing with the reschedule and rebooks of business that was impacted by COVID. We've been at the MPI Carolinas Chapter Business Exchange. We were there earlier this month. We also led the North Carolina Sports Association Diversity Summit in Asheville since we last met, and we're preparing to attend the AAC Golf Tournament in Pinehurst at the end of the month. That was actually the first industry client event we did last year coming out of COVID. So it's a pretty strong event. We also had a very successful site visit on Friday with the American Wine Society. They're looking at bringing about 1,100 room nights here to us in October of 24. So it's very positive to get those national groups that are interested in coming into Winston-Salem and looking at years that weren't impacted by COVID and just starting fresh. And working with some local members on bringing that piece of business to Winston-Salem. So they hope to have a decision by the end of the year. We also attended our largest annual trade show, appointment show, Connect. So we did 3 tracks there. We did the Association Corporate and Sports track, had 110 6-minute appointments with decision makers, both on the sports side as well as the convention planning and meeting side. So it was very, very busy week in Florida, but very productive as well. And certainly following up with news of obviously the gallery ballroom updates and other things that are going on here in the community. The clients we met with, their size programs range from board retreats to conventions over 1,000 people. So a good scope there. In sports, again, we're talking indoor and outdoor sports with the event rights holders that we met, as well as sports conventions while we were down there.
Christian, could you just quickly let the board know how we talked about it for so long, the new RISE indoor facility, how's that being received out in the market?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's very well received. We've got a new demand generator in the community. We've met and worked very closely with their general manager, Lane, who is very well known in the volleyball circles and basketball circles. So he's been able to bring some events in as well. We are constantly looking for regional and national pieces of business that we can bring in. And we've had some conversations with Dana as well, who's connected us with some folks that she's in her network that are in the sports world to potentially bring new sporting events to RISE. And obviously, I think that COVID is maybe not produced the numbers that they would like early on, but they're still producing room nights and producing tournaments out there. So it's a strong start and one we look to continue as we move forward. So predominantly basketball right now, but certainly opening the doors for other sports as well.
I think I saw a stat at a meeting the other day, maybe 2/3 of those room nights are coming to Forsyth County. Do you know what percentage?
I don't know that 2/3, I'm not sure of the percentage, but I would definitely say the majority of those rooms are coming to Forsyth County because the majority of the hotels are in Forsyth County.
Outside of,
I mean, predominantly because it's in the same spot as Truist Sports Park. So traditionally with the soccer tournaments in the past that have been at Truist, they use the Hampton Inn and Bermuda Run and pretty much all the other hotels were in Clemens or Winston-Salem.
Did you have a stat on that? You told me the other day about RISE and where they're staying.
Yes, the tournaments that they've had are not state of play, but all the ones that I have placed, I would say a lot of those weekends, Hampton was full, but they took some. I would say more 95, not in, I'd say 95 Forsyth County.
It might have been dollars spent survey or something, stat I saw.
We can look into that. It's generally speaking, the majority of folks tend to stay in Forsyth County because there's more options in Forsyth.
I was just curious where you saw this, because outside of the Hampton, which is obviously in Davie, after that, it's pretty much all Forsyth County, I would think.
It is now because we have availability.
Right, yeah.
And if it ever gets to be a peak weekend, that's really the only time when there's no availability, they push out.
Correct. They do head west when a couple times there's been a tournament out there and it's been over furniture market. Thank you. And there's nowhere to go. I mean, particularly you can't go east because then you're going into Kernersville and Greensboro, which is even closer to High Point. So they go west. But by and large, I would think, Lou, got to be close to 90. I think close to 90%. I say that obviously we're not doing any analytics.
Davie County update, they might have been putting extra weight on the candy bars at the concession stand out there.
Could be.
And then Rich mentioned this a little earlier too. So we've got a lot of events going on. I know we talked a little bit about some of the cancellations, but a lot of upcoming events, both from the meeting convention side, university related events. A lot of folks will be coming to our downtown. This weekend alone, we've got the Gears and Guitars music festival concert series, and then also bookmarks. We've got some conventions that are checking in, staying here at the Marriott and Embassy and using the Benton Convention Center. So just a lot of activity throughout our downtown in the fall. And, as you're aware, we have a very big, fall's a very popular time to be in Winston-Salem, and furniture market rooms are picking up at the hotels. They're running more shuttles than they did last year. So you're going to see probably more pickup at these hotels in Forsyth County compared to last fall. So those are all positive signs as we kind of move forward. Grant mentioned NACA. That was a group we've been pursuing for about 5 years. That was the one we actually met in their office and had to address the HB2 issue with that North Carolina had, and they chose to come to Winston-Salem here in 21. So we're delighted that they'll be bringing a national group in here next week.
Any questions for sales? Convention activity? If not, we'll move right over to Marquita. Marquita, you're going to need, just so the people that aren't here can hear, you're going to need to use a microphone, please. Thank you.
Take my mask off too, if that helps. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here this month, as opposed to last month. So again, there always seems to be a theme that rises to the top when we're putting these presentations together. And I think the theme for the marketing report is partnership and collaboration here. We worked with the Visit North Carolina PR staff, as well as their national PR firm based out of New York, as well as our PR staff here and out of our PR team out of Florida, to host 5 travel writers for the Wind Your Way in Winston-Salem. Again, Visit Winston-Salem has marketed themselves as the gateway to the Yadkin Valley very heavily. Visit North Carolina recognized that and wanted us to host and be the kickoff destination for the media fam with these food and wine writers and the culinary writers. So we were here, we were hosted for a wine dinner with Childress as well as Ray Lynn and at the Kempton, and they did a fantastic job. The collaboration just so happens with the Childress and Ray Lynn happened to be some board members of the Wine Growers Association, North Carolina Wine Growers Association, which we host here in their conference each year. So we'll keep you posted on these national writers and the stories that they're generating. A lot of their Instagram and social media was generated while they were here too. So we're very excited about that. And of course, the collaboration with Visit North Carolina. We also worked with our national PR team on the earned editorial for individual writers that we have hosted or are hosting in the next 2 weeks. Jason Fry, this is his 2nd visit to Winston-Salem, but his 4th placement. He actually is not only a travel writer for magazines and feature and consumer magazines, but also is a very talented and well-respected guidebook writer. So he comes in and does extensive work as well, and we'll be working with Moon Travel Guides. Again, this is the 2nd travel guide that he's actually done that includes Winston-Salem. Alex Gonthier was actually a referral to us from the Visit North Carolina and their New York-based team as well. Again, working with that team has paid off very handsomely for us from a national perspective. Alex will be here for the very first time. She's based out of Quebec. And again, we're very excited about that. She is actually trying to move from the October date that she originally had to November to ensure that she can get out of Canada and travel here. So with the pandemic restrictions. So again, we're very excited about that. Very high-end, very luxury take on Winston-Salem. And again, just very excited to be able to host her there as well. Anissa Williams this is the 2nd visit for her. She was here 2 years ago, and she's coming back to do another destination luxury story as well for her. It's a magazine as well as digital placement as well. So great coverage from Anissa. And again, we're very excited about hosting her. That will be actually next weekend. So she'll be at the tail end of Gears and Guitars and a busy week. William Flood this is the first visit for him. He's a very specific writer in that he is going to be spending a lot of time working on the placement that he has with Antique Week, as well as American Antiquities Journal. So it's a very focused, very, very high-end, very dedicated high-end audience as well. So he's also got a story about RV travel, which has been really very popular during the pandemic. And so we'll get him out to Tanglewood to have a visit out there as well. So very excited about that. Speaking of collaboration and partnerships, we are working with North Carolina Craft Brewers Guild to be at the State Fair in October. Our PR team and promotions team will be working with them to be part of the Craft Brewers Guild. We actually have a new initiative that we created because we have 9 craft breweries, all within a 1.5-mile radius. We call it the Winston-Salem Craft Draft Crawl. And so we will be pushing the product that we have here. We also have several hoteliers who have already started tapping. I didn't mean that. We'll be tapping into that opportunity to partner and package some hotel stays with the Craft Draft Crawl product. So we're very excited about being with that. And again, this all came by way of Karen Wall and Christian from the Craft Brewers Guild, who now holds their annual conference here. So we're very excited about that collaboration and partnership. We had a wonderful conversation with the team at Salem Academy and College. As many of you know, they are celebrating their 250th anniversary in a very big way that kicked off actually last week and will continue through next spring. A lot of wonderful, very publicity-worthy stories, again, from a national as well as local and regional standpoint. But the collaboration with us is that we realized from a PR standpoint, much like we did from the Moravian Culinary tour and trail that we created, that it starts out as a great editorial and earned media platform. The stories that we're telling then become a way to experience the destination in person. So again, we're creating a Women Waymakers, the entrepreneurial story of women in Winston-Salem, both past, present, and hopefully future, which we're working again with Salem Academy and College to talk about a lot of their women waymakers. Of course, we include a lot of the entrepreneurs and the culinary women that we have, again, working with Winston Starts and a number of different partners throughout the destination as well. So lots of opportunities from an editorial and storytelling standpoint. And then we're working, actually have a meeting tomorrow with our friends at the Winston-Salem State University Marketing and Events Department. This was a continuation of what we did in 2019, helping to market and inform the local community and alumni about the homecoming events and promote awareness and participation in those events. We'll be creating pole banners, window clings for the downtown restaurants, and actually a promotion in social media to support the homecoming as well. So very excited about partnering again. Earned editorial still. We did host it's actually a Washington, D.C., Virginia-based digital influencer, Katie Urban with A Touch of Teal. She was here last month and has already started generating lots of stories. If you saw that on social media, and we can send that again to you as well. Again, Beyond Your Backyard. This may be familiar to some of you, the PBS syndicated TV show. It's a travel show. They were here in October of 2019, filming for spring 2020. But spring 2020 did not happen, as we know. So what has happened is PBS is now going to start unveiling the season 4 that we are included in October, both from a regional placement standpoint. So Blue Ridge PBS will be picking that up in the end of October, and then we'll start rolling out nationwide. So Winston-Salem has an episode, a 24-minute, totally dedicated to Winston-Salem, rolling out. As soon as that link is given to us, we will certainly get that to you too. I have seen little previews and snippets because we did get some of the B-roll as part of our hosting, and it is wonderful. So it's great. Eric is the travel guy, and he's very personable. And again, he hit a lot of the highlights of of the area too. So we're very excited about showing that to you as well. Long in the making, long COVID happened. Again, on the supporting the destination consumer and hotel partners is the seasonal e-newsletter that we do 4 times a year. We sent that out just yesterday for fall, promoting that. We have 44,000 subscribers on the email database. And then again, what we do is then boost that with one of our digital partners, which is actually McClatchy, who is the Charlotte Observer amongst other newspapers nationwide. But we send that out to more than 300,000 in the Raleigh area, Charlotte area, and then in the MSA of Greenville, Spartanburg, and the Asheville area too. So for a total of 900,000 additional audiences reading that as well. That includes hotel packages and the way that you can experience and stay in Winston-Salem. We have a journalist mailing that is going out hopefully at the end of this week, if not first of next week, that's hitting fall and holiday. It's to 40 of our top digital influencers as well as print media, travel writers, including such prestigious outlets as Garden & Gun, Southern Living, AAA, and Charlotte Magazine, Raleigh Magazine. Again, all of those that really tell a great story about Winston-Salem. And again, we're trying to introduce to some, highlight to others, remind those journalists about the wonderful things that they can write about for the fall, for the holiday, either right now or to book that time to come and experience Winston-Salem at any season as well. So it's part information and part invitation for these journalists as well. So we're very excited about that. We do have a relationship with Essence Magazine. I don't know if they made it to this because they're more of a national, and we kept this as a regional and southeast too.
Great. I mean, I would love to see something like the theater festival.
Yes.
Write something up on that.
Right. We're very specific and very targeted with that too, but that's a really good point too. Yeah. So, and if it's okay with y'all to entertain at the next board meeting, if the timing is right, is to talk about, when you mentioned RISE, we just did 2 photo shoots at RISE to talk about the space, to show off the space and the facilities and how it can be used in the different parts of the facility, to put in our collateral, our advertising, our website, and to also give that to the RISE folks too for their marketing purposes as well. And then working with Ben and with Grant on how we're supporting the gallery ballroom at the Benton and the Benton South, because we will be doing a photo shoot. We've got collateral, direct mail piece. So a lot of extensive marketing to support the trades and meetings and convention side as well. So it's very exciting. So we're excited about that. A lot going on.
Can I ask a question about RISE? As we partner with them, and they're in Davie County, what expectations do we have of them to represent Forsyth County tourism and hotel destinations?
High expectations.
If they've got collateral, and that's what made me think about it, is we're going to provide them photo shoot material for their collateral. Is there a leverage opportunity to make sure that the Forsyth County hotel destinations get some kind of placement or visit Winston-Salem so that we do pull on this side of the river as much influence as we can?
That's a great question. And so it's very similar model to what we have with Truist Sports Park. And so our collateral is over there, as we talked about earlier, a large percentage of the dollars that are generated from tourism because of those demand generators end up in Forsyth County. So they certainly see that. And when they, specifically with RISE as a new entity, they're marketing themselves as being outside of the Winston-Salem area.
Yeah, I mean, I see it's a natural partnership, and the county line is what the county line is, and probably very much blurred.
Yeah.
But
Especially from a visitor perspective.
From a visitor's perspective, there is no county line.
Yeah.
They happen to cross over some water and go to a beautiful park. And I would say, as we were saying earlier, the vast majority, they're going to come out of that park and make a left and come into Forsyth County because that's where the hotels are. That's where shopping is. That's where the mall, Haynes Mall is. And that we do say, and to some extent, John, the way our support and promotion of the demand generator in Rise is the same to some extent as it is with the wineries. Many of the wineries are not in Forsyth County, but if you start looking at putting together packages for hub and spoke, or they're going to naturally stay maybe in Winston-Salem versus stay, somewhere in a different county. But I think it behooves us to market and promote assets that are outside the county, but obviously not hotels.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The more, you're right. If it's across the river and it brings attention to our neighborhood, absolutely. I just want to make sure we're leveraging an equality of the partnership.
We want more than equality, but we want it all. And I think really, after the Hampton fills on that side of the river, everything comes our way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marquita.
I do see Paul Fulton joined us. And from a technology standpoint, I see this little thing up at the top that says sound off.
Okay.
The sound should now be on.
Now I can hear Paul.
We can hear you.
Yeah, Paul is here for his last meeting with you folks. And the plan, I couldn't get into Zoom today. I had some real problems with my laptop. The plan was for me to introduce Terry to you, who is going to be my successor as Chief Financial Officer for the county. And then she automatically, by law, becomes your Chief Financial Officer. When she and I were emailing earlier, she said her microphone would not work on your Zoom. So I assume that's the case.
Well, I can try again. Can you hear me?
There we go. We got you.
I can hear you. Okay, let me introduce your new CFO. Terry has been with our department 32 years. She's a Wake Forest graduate, Duke Fuqua School for MBA. She's a CPA. She has a variety of certifications. She's going to do you very well. I'm very pleased that she was selected. It was very appropriate. And I commend her to you now. Terry, if you'd like to say anything.
No, I just am very excited for this opportunity. I look forward to working with you all and hopefully getting out to one of your meetings in person here shortly and getting a chance to meet each of you. In the meantime, if you need anything, please reach out by email or phone. And I look forward to working with you all.
Right. Well, welcome aboard, Terry. Paul, you missed an opportunity to listen to glowing adulations of your contributions to this group. I'll repeat it again. This group is indebted to your having a strong handle on the steering wheel of the financial stewardship of this organization. And with deep gratitude, we say thank you, and we wish you very much peace and enjoyment in your next coming years.
I appreciate that. I've been with the authority since 1983. It seems like forever.
You made your mark, sir.
Thank you all. I've been very blessed. We've always had really great boards on the Tourism Development Authority. We've had people with great ideas. You've hired great people. It's been a real pleasure to be associated with it. And I've learned so much about tourism that I never would have known. But from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate everything you folks have done.
Paul, this is Rich. Thanks. I do appreciate the 11 years that we've been together and the guidance you gave us and direction. I know I had trouble getting used to some of the governmental nuances that I had not had to deal with in my prior destinations. And I helped you, I appreciate you helping me guide me through some of the things I did that were probably not appropriate. But you're a good man, Paul, and I appreciate your guidance over the last dozen years or so. And I wish you nothing but happiness in your retirement.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's hard to do after this long, let me tell you.
All right. Okay, is there, I guess Terry or Paul, is there anything from the finance report that you care to share, or we'll leave it at that?
It's all in Rich's hands at this point. He just needs to get the business here.
Okay,
All right,
done.
all right. Is there any other business before the board? Hearing none. How is Lamb and how is the AVA, Ms. Sarah?
Doing well. Land Museum is officially open to the public, and we've had groups in, with course groups and school groups and walking visitors, and we're very excited about all of it. The prevailing comment is that it looks like a real museum, and we do not take offense at that. We realize the old place is not like a real museum. The new place really looks like a real museum. So everyone can come see us. We'll be getting an invitation soon, hopefully, to our ribbon cutting that will take place during homecoming. So Friday afternoon, 4:29. Full response, you'll get an invitation soon. ABA overall, I think everybody is doing well. Tanglewood is preparing for Festival of Lights already. So we are in the throes of that. The Fabric had to cancel Apple Festival, unfortunately, so they made the decision to do that. So that would have been this weekend also. Bavania, however, held their Black Walnut Festival last weekend with good success, I hear. I think all of our attractions are open and operating. On Salem now, Wednesday through Saturday, I believe that they're open hours, slightly shorter, but they are open. Yeah, we're getting back in the swing of things, I think.
Awesome. Ben, anything additional to share?
I think you covered it earlier.
I'll just give you all one update. The event center will not be attainable. But we have several other locations. We actually have folks coming to us now, wanting us to pick their locations. So it's exciting right now. We have many opportunities.
What's the status on the clubhouse?
It's on the web.
Is there a timeline?
How the date it will be completed, but it's certainly on the web.
All right. Anything?
Perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
And the other Wake Forest note is the Old Town Club Invitational Wake Forest Men's Golf Tournament starts next week. If anybody wants to volunteer on a Monday or Tuesday at Old Town, they're looking for volunteers. But another sporting event in town. 16 schools, I believe. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
I don't have anything else, Mr. President.
I don't either, Mr. Chairman. I think we're in good shape. We got a good team, and we got great guidance from the board. So I think we're hearing, despite the challenges, I do think we're obviously a lot of activity is happening now, and we're going to come out of this thing okay. We'll be good.
Hearing nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting. We'll see you in October.
Mine's writing. Yeah, I think I just.
I guess we're at Shannon Stewart Hills.